Okay, folks, another top 10 from me. My top 10 most favorite wilderness first aid items. Now, this isn't wilderness first aid kit. This isn't the only things I would carry. These are just my favorite things that I would like in my first aid kit if I can have a choice. Okay, so first, number one is duct tape. Okay, duct tape you can use for anything and everything, from splinting a wound to making a stretcher to building a shelter. The list is endless. I've even seen someone build a boat with duct tape. So duct tape, number one. Number two, guys, as you'll see with my medical grab bag, the minimalist grab bag, I go quite heavy on diagnostic equipment. So the next one here was actually two items, is a stethoscope and a blood pressure cuff. So just to get basic baseline vitals, doesn't need a battery, takes minimal training for other members of the party to learn how to use. So as a first aider or as the treating guy on a wilderness expedition or whatever, this is actually quite easy for a second person, for you to teach them, and they can take over monitoring of a patient if you're waiting for a evacuation, a long-term evacuation. So stethoscope and BP cuff, number two. Number three, a bag valve mask or BVM. This is an adult. In my big bag I carry oxygen tubing for it, I've got a reservoir for it, and a child mask. So this is quite bulky, but for anybody that has done CPR or practice CPR for more than 20 minutes will know the value of this. Now this is a bit more of a specialized item, but it's not difficult to teach, and it's not a difficult skill to master. So you can teach this to someone. Actually, in our advanced wilderness first aid courses, and we actually teach you guys to use this, because if you have to carry someone out or you have to do rescue ventilations, this just makes everything for the rescue a lot easier, and it just improves the odds of your patient a lot. So number three is a bag valve mask. Number four, cuatro, so is actually two items. Now guys, I'm not talking about a pastry, it's a crepe. I think in one of the previous ones I called it a crepe, which sounded the same to me as I'm Afrikaans, but this is actually quite a nice stretchy type bandage. And the other one is a cohesive bandage. Now with these two you can do almost anything, from wound packing to splinting to pressure dressing. Very versatile. I absolutely love these two. Okay, number five is a rescue blanket, a little potato cooker foil blanket. Extremely useful, extremely versatile, not only for a patient but as a survival item for yourself. If the temperature drops quite drastically, like it does out here for us in the mountains, you can actually put it over you in your sleeping bag, or wrap yourself in a poncho with this underneath, and it actually reflects the heat in. Quite awesome for helping to prevent hypothermia of a patient, insulating a shelter. Quite a useful piece of equipment. Then number six, a SAM splint. Now this is not the brand name SAM splint. In South Africa these guys are called the EVA splint or EVA splint. I don't know how they prefer the pronunciation, but this is a aluminum sheet wrapped in a sponge type business. So you can actually fold this. Again guys, splints, neck braces, cervical collars. Now I'm not going to go into that because that is a bit of a sore topic. We'll discuss cervical collars a bit later on. Even a pelvic splint, if you combine this with a cat or a softy wide. Then number 7 is a triangular bandage. Now for wilderness type work I prefer the, what's this, cotton, I think so. This is a hemmed cotton triangular bandage. These disposable light things, they can't do what you need them to do. So pressure dressings, a sling, a improvised tourniquet, that's why you can't use the cheap disposable ones. They won't get the pressure out. You grab a stick, you make a 2-inch or a 5 centimeter wide, 1 inch or 5 centimeter wide band with this, cinch it down, and you got yourself an improvised tourniquet. Also super useful. Then number 8 is my watch. Now any vital signs that you take, or any interventions that you do, or you need time for, so this is a diagnostic tool. Again, guys, going heavy on the diagnostic tools. So if you take a pulse rate, if you take respiration rates, if you are estimating the distance you are traveling, if you need to find your direction, north, south, we'll do a video on that later on how to determine bearings with your watch. So that's just super useful. And then number 10, did I skip one now? No, I didn't. Okay. Number 10 is my cell phone. Now this can be quite funny for a lot of guys saying, yeah, but how can you put a cell phone on as a wilderness piece of equipment? Guys, if you are in trouble, you need to phone for help. And phoning for help is kind of difficult without a telephone. So your cell phone is one of your most important things, as that is what will get help to you the quickest if you have signal. You can also use it if there's a snake bite. One of your party got bitten by a snake. Take a picture of the snake. It'll help identification and treatment later on. If the guys you are phoning for help don't really understand the severity of the incident or the type of terrain, you take a picture of the injury and you take a picture of the terrain and you send it to them, and it makes it a bit easier for them. Also, you've got a GPS function if you can get signal. That will help the guys find you. So if it doesn't have any signal, then at least you have tunes to listen to. So quite a useful piece of kit. If you don't have a cell phone, then a radio, some form of communication. I won't go into the backcountry without some form of communication. So guys, and then an honorable mention, if you have access to them and you understand how to use them, as another diagnostic tool, and that is a saturation monitor. This just makes your readings a lot more accurate over longer periods of time, well, as long as the battery lasts, and helps you give whoever's on the other side of the phone a more accurate indication, and it helps you prevent and treat things like shock. So yeah, guys, with most of the stuff, as with all my kit, I go heavy on the things I can improvise with. Now on improvisation is a critical tool in any wilderness environment. But one thing I always caution the guys on is improvisation should not be your only tool. A lot of the guys will just walk out into the backcountry carrying a couple of tampons and a knife, saying, yeah, they can make fire and shelter and a space shuttle with those tampons and knife. And again, guys, just not preparing and not being prepared. And then one thing that I did not put on here as the most critical first aid, wilderness first aid item is your head, your brain. If you can't think, if you're not prepared, if you haven't done some form of wilderness course, then you're setting yourself up for a failure. So guys, with all of this out here, you can improvise with all of these resources around you. Yeah guys, a quick one on my top 10 most favorite. As you can see, this is not the only stuff that I carry. This is not the only stuff that I carry. I carry a lot of other stuff. But guys, you don't need all of this for a wilderness trip. I just use all of this for a bit of training.